She thought he was just another starving worker, another soul lost to the daily grind of Legos. So she offered him her only meal. Little did she know, she was talking to the billionaire who owned the very ground beneath her feet. This is a story of a simple act of kindness that would shatter class divides and spark a romance the entire city will be talking about for years to come. The man, Femi, was dressed in tattered work trousers and a faded blue shirt, stained with sweat and grime. He held nothing but an empty water sachet, looking tired, defeated, and hungry. He looked, for all the world, like just another laborer trying to survive the punishing Lagos heat. But just a few hours earlier, Femi had been in a completely different world. He was Femi Lawrence, the 34-year-old CEO of Lorenzo Holdings, a massive conglomerate with interests in real estate, technology, and energy. He'd been sitting in a glass-walled boardroom on the 40th floor of his headquarters. The Lagos skyline spread before him like a kingdom. The air was chilled, and the room smelled of expensive cologne and Italian leather. His father's portrait hung on the wall, a man who built the empire from scratch and always said, "Femi, you can judge a person's wealth by their bank account, but you can only judge their character by how they treat those who have nothing to give them." Lately, his father's words kept echoing in his mind. He was surrounded by people who only wanted something from him. His fiancée, Clara, was more in love with his credit card than with him. His friends were just business associates. Their laughter as hollow as their promises. He felt a profound emptiness, a total disconnect from the real world his father taught him to respect. So he devised a plan, a test. He wanted to walk among the people building his latest, most ambitious project, the Lorenzo Sky Towers. He wanted to see his empire from the ground up, not as a CEO, but as a nobody. He gave himself a new name, Ken, and a backstory, a man from a small village, seeking his fortune in the big city. The Lagos sun was a brutal contrast to his air-conditioned life. The dust clogged his throat, and the constant noise was a physical assault. After just a few hours wandering the site, he felt a genuine exhaustion and a gnawing hunger he hadn't known since he was a boy. He was playing a part, but the weariness was all too real. And that's when he saw her. Amara was 24, but life had already carved a maturity onto her face that made her seem older. She was slender but strong, her hair tucked neatly under a worn head tie. Every day, she woke at 4 a.m. in the tiny one-room apartment she shared with her ailing grandmother and younger sister, Ruth. After her parents passed away, she became their sole provider. Her job at the construction site was grueling. It was a man's world, but Amara was resilient. She worked twice as hard and never complained, carrying a quiet dignity that earned her grudging respect. Her salary was meager. After sending money home for her grandmother's medicine and Ruth's school fees, there was barely enough left for food. Today, she found a quiet spot to eat her small container of rice and stew. As she was about to take her first bite, she noticed a man, Ken. He looked utterly dejected, staring into the distance with a hopelessness she knew all too well. She'd seen that same look in the mirror on her hardest days. Her heart clenched with empathy. She hesitated. This meal was all she had until dinner, which would probably be just gari, but her grandmother's words came to mind. Even when you have little, Amara, a shared morsel tastes sweeter. Taking a deep breath, she walked over to Femi. "How far?" she asked softly, using the common pidgin greeting. Femi looked up, startled by the young woman with such kind eyes. "I day," he replied, his voice hoarse. "You are new here," she stated. "You never chop? Have you eaten?" Caught off guard by her sincerity, Femi simply shook his head. He was a billionaire who could have a feast delivered by helicopter, yet in that moment as Ken, he was hungry for something real. Amara looked at her container, then back at him. Without another word, she sat down, opened the container, and pushed it towards him. "Make we chop," she said with a small smile. "Let's eat. It's not much, but it's better than nothing." Femi was stunned. He'd come here with a cynical heart, expecting to see greed and selfishness. But here was this young woman, who clearly had so little, offering him her entire meal without hesitation. I can't take your food," he stammered. "Why not?" she asked, genuinely confused. "You look like you need it more than I do." "Don't worry me. I am used to it." Go better. Things will get better. He looked into her eyes and saw no pity, only a profound, simple human connection. This was the authenticity he'd been craving. He felt the cynical armor he'd built around his heart begin to crack. Slowly, he took the plastic spoon she offered. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "No walla," she replied, her smile widening. "No problem." They shared the small meal in silence, the noise of the construction site fading away. For Amara, it was a simple act of charity. For Femi, it was a revelation. It was a moment a billionaire, pretending to be a pauper, started to fall in love. The next day, Femi returned to the site as Ken. He'd arranged with the site's general manager, a trusted employee named Mr. Collins, to be hired as a laborer. Only Mr. Collins knew his true identity. Femi's job was to carry cement bags and mix mortar. The work was back-breaking and humbling, giving him a newfound respect for the men building his towers. But his real mission? It was Amara. He had to know if her kindness was a fluke or if that was truly who she was. The test was on. His first chance came a week later. As Ken, Femi was paid his first week's wages in cash. Walking past a group of workers, including Amara and a notoriously greedy man named Tund, Femi accidentally dropped a few of the larger bills. Tund's eyes widened. His foot shot out to cover the money. He glanced around, thinking no one saw. "Ken, you dropped your money." Amara called out immediately. Tund scowled. "What money?" "I didn't see anything," he grumbled. Femi watched, holding his breath. This was it. Amara walked right up to Tund. "Tund, I beg, no do like dis," she said, her voice low but unwavering. "Please, don't be like this. That could be all he has for the week. Move your foot. Now you be him lawyer?" Tund sneered. "Are you his lawyer?" "I don't need to be his lawyer to know right from wrong." Amara retorted. "Move your foot or I will call Foreman Mike." The threat of involving the harsh foreman was enough. Tund muttered a curse, lifted his foot, and Amara knelt, picked up the money, dusted it off, and walked over to Femi. "This is yours," she said, placing the notes in his hand. "You have to be more careful. Some people here, their eyes are too sharp for the wrong things." Femi's heart swelled with admiration. She hadn't just been honest. She defended him, a total stranger. As the weeks turned into a month, Femi created more little tests, and Amara passed every single one, completely unaware she was being graded. When an elderly worker collapsed from heat stroke, the foreman just told everyone to move him aside. It was Amara who rushed over, using her own water to cool his head and convincing others to help carry him to the shade. Watching from a distance, Femi silently called Mr. Collins, ensuring the man got the best medical care and his full salary while he recovered. Amara never knew her compassion had set that in motion. Their friendship grew over shared lunch breaks. Femi, as Ken, was a captive audience. He learned about her grandmother's persistent cough and her sister Ruth's dream of becoming a doctor. He learned that Amara's own dream was to be an architect, a fantasy she'd long since packed away. She'd sketched brilliant designs on discarded cement bags with a piece of charcoal. "Look," she showed him one day, her face alive with passion. "If you design the foundation this way, you can support a taller structure and even create a small community garden in the atrium." Femi, a man who approved billion-naira architectural plans, was mesmerized. Her designs were intuitive, brilliant, and human-centered. He wasn't just falling for her kindness. He was falling for her mind, her spirit, her unrealized genius. In turn, he shared an edited version of his life. Speaking of a wealthy family he was estranged from, hinting at a deep loneliness. "Money is not everything," Amara told him one afternoon. "It can buy medicine, yes, but it cannot buy a peaceful heart. My grandmother always says that." That statement pierced right through his disguise. He had everything money could buy, except a peaceful heart. He was falling deeply and completely in love. The other workers noticed their bond. Tund would often taunt them. See love in Tokyo." "Amara, you want to follow this village boy back to his mud hut." Amara would just ignore him. But one day she turned to Tund, her voice cold as steel. "A man's worth is in his heart, Tund, not his pocket. Something you will never understand. Femi wanted to fire Tund on the spot, but as Ken, all he could do was give Amara a grateful look. His experiment was no longer a test. It was his life, and he knew, with a certainty that shook him, that he couldn't go back to his old world without her. The breaking point came on a tense afternoon. An expensive piece of surveying equipment went missing. Foreman Mike needed a scapegoat, and his eyes fell on Amara. She was an outsider, a woman, and her closeness with a newcomer Ken made her the perfect target. Mike, when eager Tund to decide, stormed over. Amara? Mike barked. Where's the laser level? I don't know what you're talking about, sir, she said, confused. Liar. Tund chimed in. I saw her near the office. She is always sneaking around. That's not true. Femi interjected, stepping in front of her. She's been with me. Mike shoved Femi aside. You, shut up. You are a nobody. We know your type. You two are probably in on it together. He pointed a finger in Amara's face. Empty your bag. Now! Humiliation washed over Amara's face. The other workers gathered to watch. To be called a thief was the ultimate disgrace. Her hands trembled as she opened her worn bag. Inside was her empty lunch container, her head tie, and a small Bible. Furious at finding nothing, Mike grabbed the bag and threw its contents on the ground. You must have hidden it. You are fired, you hear me? Fired. Get off this site, you thief. Tears of rage and shame welled in Amara's eyes. Her livelihood and reputation were being destroyed by a lie. She looked at Ken, her heart breaking. A cold, hard fury rose in Femi. This was the rot happening right under his nose. His experiment was over. Enough, Femi said. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the air with an authority that made everyone pause. Mike sneered. Enough? Who are you to say enough? I am the foreman. You're right, Femi said, pulling out his phone. Ken is nothing. He held Mike's gaze. But Femi Lawrence is everything. A few workers laughed. Femi Lawrence? The billionaire. Tund guffawed. Olga, the sun has cooked your brain. Femi ignored them, pressing a single button on his phone. Collins, he said calmly. It's time. Come to Sector 4 and bring security. Less than 2 minutes later, a black Range Rover and 2 security trucks screeched to a halt. Out stepped Mr. Collins, the general manager, followed by a team of uniformed security guards. The workers gasped. Mike's face went white. He saw the big boss striding directly toward the grimy laborer he had just assaulted. Mr. Collins stopped before Femi and bowed his head slightly. Sir, we are here. A stunned silence fell over the site. Tund's jaw hung open. Mike began to tremble. Amara just stared, her mind unable to process what she was seeing. Ken? The kind, poor man she shared her lunch with? Men in suits were handing him a clean jacket, addressing him as Sir. Femi shrugged off his dirty shirt and put on a jacket. The weariness was gone, replaced by an aura of immense power. He turned his icy gaze on Mike. Foreman Mike, Femi said, For 2 months I have worked on your crew. I have seen your corruption, your cruelty, and your incompetence. You just tried to frame an innocent woman. You are fired. Security, escort him off my property. He will be prosecuted. As the guards dragged the blubbering Mike away, Femi turned to Tund, who looked like he might faint. And you, Femi said, your greed and malice have no place here. You're fired. Never show your face on a Lorenzo Holdings property again. Femi's eyes then scanned the crowd and landed on Amara. She was frozen, her expression a mix of shock, confusion, and betrayal. He walked toward her, his face softening. Amara, he said gently. She flinched. Who are you? She whispered. My name is Femi Lawrence, he said softly, and I own this entire site. Everything you see, it's mine. He explained everything. His empty life, his father's words, his search for someone genuine. He told her he'd set out to test the character of his people, but that he was the one who had been truly tested. You, Amara, he said, his voice full of emotion. You are the soul of this company. You are the integrity and kindness I thought was gone from the world. I came here looking for character, and I found it in you. But I found something else, too. I fell in love with you. Amara was speechless. Her world turned upside down. You lied to me, she said, the hurt clear in her voice. Yes, Femi admitted, his heart aching. I did. I pretended to be poor. But my feelings for you were the most real thing in my life. The man you got to know, that was the real me. He stepped closer. Your grandmother is sick. I've already arranged for the best doctors in Lagos to see her. They're on their way to your home right now. Ruth's university education to become a doctor. It's all taken care of for life. Tears streamed down Amara's face, no longer from humiliation, but from overwhelming shock and relief. And you, Femi continued, his voice dropping to a whisper, your dream of being an architect. I've seen your sketches. You're brilliant. I'm offering you a full scholarship to the best architecture university in the world and a lead designer position here when you graduate. He paused, taking her hand. But that's a business proposal. This is a life proposal. He knelt on one knee in the dust and grime, the billionaire bowing to the laborer. Amara, you taught me what it means to have a peaceful heart. You are the woman my father would have wanted for me. You are the woman I want. Marry me. Build this empire with me. Not as my employee, but as my partner. My equal, my wife. The news spread like wildfire, a fairy tale come to life. But for Femi and Amara, standing on the construction site that brought them together, it was beautifully, breathtakingly real. With tears of joy streaming down her face, Amara looked at the man who had seen her worth when she was invisible to the world and gave him her answer. Yes, she whispered. Yes. A simple act of sharing a meal ignited a love that transformed not just two lives, but an entire community. Femi Lawrence didn't just find a wife. He rediscovered his soul. And Amara didn't just get a fairy tale ending. She earned it, with the quiet strength of her character and the boundless generosity of her heart. Their story reminds us all that true wealth isn't measured by what you have, but by what you're willing to give. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story of love and transformation, we'd love it if you liked this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. What did you think of Amara's act of kindness? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you in the next story.